Hi, I'm Alina, and I'm a transformational coach and mentor for entrepreneurs. And with me, I have Dana Gillespie. She is a transformational mindset coach for female creatives and entrepreneurs, and she's also the founder of My Mood Time. So in 2023, we both went through a certification for a method called core transformation, which is a gentle process that helps us transform patterns of behavior, thinking, and feeling that we don't like. And it's been really powerful for both of us as humans, as entrepreneurs, and for our clients as well. So we thought that we'd come on and share some stories today, and also how core transformation and subconscious work in general can help you as an entrepreneur. So we've been casually chatting about how business can take a lot of time to build. I know that there's all these stories out there about how you can make all this money really quickly, but the truth is, if you really dig into it, building a sustainable business that financially sustains you, your family, like for not just for, a month, but for like years ongoing, right? Takes time. It can take years. So, and also depending on your life path, like if you're anything like me, I used to be an accountant before becoming a coach. So I've had to learn a whole new trade, right? That takes time to go through certifications for months, to practice with clients, to actually get experience in your new craft. And then there's also, business, which unless you went to business school or entrepreneurship school, you probably did not learn all the skills that you need to actually build a business, because that's separate from serving clients, right? So, and also a lot of us encounter self-sabotage while we're going through this process, right? So we're encountering things like procrastination and perfectionism, right? Fear, discomfort, because we're all going through these growth periods, right? We're stretching ourselves, we're learning new skills, we're challenging ourselves to like, hey, do something that you've never done before. So of course it feels uncomfortable. Right. But sometimes it prevents us in a way where like we completely freeze. Like we don't take the steps forward at all. Right. So we might end up spinning in like indecision or like I don't feel ready for months and months and months. And then, you know, sometimes you'll get this email that's like, oh, it's Q3. What have you accomplished so far this year? And you're like, oh crap. Right. So how do we had some questions during our chat. We were like, how do we, first of all, move through these patterns that keep happening of procrastination and perfectionism and fear and all these things, because they're not generated consciously. It's not like we're trying to like sabotage ourselves, right? We want to create successful businesses. Like we want to be earning money, attracting clients, all the things, right? So how do we get past those patterns? And also, how do we maintain a sense of well-being and joy and fun while we go through this process of building our business for years and years? Like, what if it truly doesn't have to feel like a grind or like suffering the whole time, right? Anyway, Dana and I both have found it pretty challenging to do with just willpower alone. So that's also why the subconscious work has been extremely helpful for us. So to kind of kick us off, Dana, would you like to share a little bit about your entrepreneurship story and like how specifically how like subconscious reprogramming has helped you as an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So, um, subconscious reprogramming, like if anyone who already knows me knows I'm obsessed with. And when I refer to subconscious reprogramming, I'm saying, NLP based modalities of change work. Um, and I have, I think, kind of a typical story where I was doing all the things. I was taking all the classes. I have spent a small fortune on a million different um, I studied business and communications at San Diego State, but I also went and did all of the online courses you could possibly find that seemed to have all of these amazing promises of how to, connect with your audience and live the life, your best life with B School and Copy Cure and Lewis House and, hiring copy editors and going to yoga classes and being certified in yoga and doing the breath work and doing energy work and meditation, you name it. I was showing up and doing all of it while I was hustling. And I was, like you said, Alina, where I was like, it was willpower. And I wish somebody had shared with me, 2 decades ago that, hey, Dana, there is this incredible methodology, subconscious reprogramming work that if you set aside, some of the money right now and just do those, have a therapist or coach, because both therapists and coaches are certified in these modalities, work with somebody that you resonate with to help transform, for me, it was never feeling good enough, nervous, overwhelm, exhaustion. I mean, they loop in, but all of these subtle little things that I didn't a lot of times even know that they were really there. Like I was just pushing forward, going forward. But had I had that opportunity 2 decades ago, because I was showing up and doing all the things, and I probably have certifications in a lot of those modalities as well. And I might have felt like a couple of days where I felt, oh my God, I feel great. Everything's potential. I did this great breathwork session. Yes, I have all these like aha moments. And then I go to sit down and translate into work and I'm like, it's no longer there. And I had I'm certified, or I'm trained in rapid resolution therapy by Dr. John Connolly, as well as core transformation coach certified like Alina and I. So when I came in through rapid resolution therapy, and after my first session of that, I'll never be the same. I stepped into feeling completely internally whole within myself, neutral, the amount of energy I got back and being in the present moment and just happy to be. I wanted to experience more of that. And I wanted other people to be able to experience this too. I'm like, this is available to us as humans. Like I'm in, like, where do I sign? And I think it's a common thing too. I know the Manifestation Babe is big now on rapid resolution therapy. And yeah, so I added in core transformations because I find it's this incredible process to really help us just transform very effortlessly and go in these incredible states where it's like a vertical alignment. So life just becomes really present. So I'm enjoying the process. So instead of wasting 2 decades of my life trying to like, I'll be happy when I get them. I can tell you like 4 different iterations or 5 different iterations of my app version 1, my Moontime app version 2. I'll be happy when app version 3 gets out. Oh my God, I can calm down and everything will be great. And I'll be running down the street doing, somersaults and just so excited then. And then that happens and I'm like, oh my God, I have so much work to do now. Like, what the hell was I thinking? Fast forward, now I'm just through experiencing both of these modalities and sessions. I'm just happy connecting with my clients, doing this work, being present, being alive. And things just flow effortlessly for me now. And life is more magical, or there's this unique, different synchronicities. And it's a subtle but profound shift that I love and I'm grateful for.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Can you so resonate with what you're sharing? Because a lot of it is so my story too. And I think you may have seen other people sharing this too, but they're like, yeah, when I got my first 10K month or whatever, surprisingly, I didn't feel different. It's like, oh, surprising. Yeah, because probably maybe the pressure from the money not being there is no longer there, but like you you're still the same person. Well, hopefully you've changed, right? We change every day, but like um there's going to be something new for you to grow from, right? As you and I like hit these milestones in our business and continue to level up, like there's always going to be more for us to like another layer of growth. Because I think that's what me and you, well, not all of us necessarily, but like a lot of people are here to grow, right? to experience
Yeah.
your levels.
Or, even just the perception of, um, navigating through things, right? Someone may not be aware with the wording that I'm growing, but it's that, um, how do I navigate this? Like I just, somebody just had their first 10K month and they're like, okay, great. And I'm exhausted. I'm in a shell of myself. And how do I do that again? So one of the key pieces that I think it's useful to speak to about the work we do is in the past, up until, I mean, it's still going on right now, but most practices are just working with the conscious mind, which is around 5% of our daily thoughts. All of our thoughts, feelings, behaviors, patterns, reactions, all that comes from the unconscious. And so to really transform, have that inner transformation that's lasting, it's most useful to work with someone who is I like to say an NLP based subconscious reprogramming practitioner. And I also really find it most useful so much of the time for the one-on-one sessions, for those transformations that actually land and you're like, oh, wow. Okay, cool. I'm here. This is amazing. Yes. And all this energy tends to come back, or just I call them little bliss bubbles with my clients that make most clients end up in like these little states of like, this is incredible. I feel so good. But flipping that, because most of my clients also know, they know exactly their narratives. Okay, this is what happened in my life. This is why I feel this way. Even a lot of my clients who've come in with experiencing incredible things they've gotten through in life, and they've been in therapy for like 15 years, and then they're like, I can't shake this feeling. And then after, a couple of sessions, they're like, okay, that just all of it, what I experience as past trauma or PTSD or whatever is just no longer there. And I'm like, it's like an inner freedom. And I love that. I love that. And I think it's really useful to speak to instead of someone signing up for another course of like, this is how you can get your business out there and your product and you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars and it's limitless and just sign up for, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 and it's, practically guaranteed. Look at all the people I worked with. And it's like, then I know for myself and so many clients, they're like, why isn't this working? And it's like, well, there's, stuff there. And quite frankly, that stuff had a positive purpose at one point. It served some point, trying to protect you or the way your mind assigned meaning to something. At one point, it was useful. Just your unconscious hasn't gotten the good news. It's no longer happening. And that's that little piece that is so useful to have practitioners like us to help shift that. So it's just no longer there. You can be in the present and be like, oh my God, this is amazing. I love it.
Very good point. Very good point. Because for somebody like me, so I mentioned earlier that I used to be an accountant, right? Um, I I still am to a degree like a linear thinker, a logical thinker. I that's my default, right? And I think it is for a lot of humans. But I think I just started my path knowing kind of through the lens of that if I just know enough, like if I just figure out the strategy behind this and I learn enough, then I'm going to be successful because that's always how it's been for me. In school and in my corporate jobs, I've always been successful by using that strategy. And, so whenever I would go into these coaching programs like you, Dana, I also have spent a small fortune investing in these amazing programs. I have learned a lot. I've learned a lot of new skills that I didn't have before, that's the value that I see now, right? That I'm able to see looking back. Um, However, the mindset components that they were helping with, because I think everybody recognizes they're like, okay, listen, it's not just about the strategy. Most people, okay, they're not just like, I'm going to teach you this concept about creating your ideal client avatar, right? Or connecting with your niche or whatever, and you're just going to do it. Like some people do, I guess. Some people only teach that piece. But most coaches these days, especially the ones that have the giant programs, they will put a mindset component in. They'll be like, listen, I know you're gonna have some kind of objections. You're gonna say, but I can't just, but I want to help everybody, right? Or like, but I don't know, but I'm afraid that if I choose this one niche, then other people won't want to work with me, or like I'll be too in the box or something like that, right? And so they offer some kind of like help for you to get over those hurdles. Usually, what it ends up being is some kind of reframe. Reframe is basically like, oh, you have this belief. You, people won't want to work with me if I niche down too much. That's a belief, right? Because it's not completely true. Um, they might still want to work with you, right? There's probably evidence that people who niche down, they work with people outside their niche, right? So it's not true. So it's a quote unquote limiting belief. It limits you from doing what you want to do, right? Because until you get through this niche process, you're not going to move forward in your business. Okay. So it's a limiting belief. And usually the solution in these like coaching programs is to just reframe it. So what would be the opposite of that story? Well, people still want to work with me regardless of whether I'll niche. Okay, cool. That's your new story. Um, sometimes it works. Like sometimes it has worked for me to just see something from a completely new perspective when they were like, oh, is that really true, Alina? Like, have you seen these other 20 people being successful with what you're saying is not possible? And I'm like, oh crap, I didn't even know about those 20 people. Like, wow, that changes everything for me. I can now go forward. But usually it's something with like, it's like what you mentioned, Dana, like not feeling good enough, right? Like, I don't feel good enough. Okay, that limits you, right? And you're like, yep, can't move forward. And it's like, all right, well, what would be supportive? And you're like, I am good enough. Yeah, because let's write down 5 reasons why you're good enough. Okay, so now you're good enough, right? Like you can see it on paper. So now every day you just tell yourself, I'm good enough. I'm enough. Over and over again. That's your new homework for the next whatever. I don't know. Some days it probably works for you because it does. I mean, it's positive self-talk is a thing, you know, I practice it. It's like I notice myself going into thinking that doesn't serve me. And I'm like, wait a minute, do I want to be thinking that? I could shift my way into something else. Um, it helps, but I noticed that it doesn't always like, it just keeps happening over and over again, right? You're happy for like, I don't know, I get coaching, I get a new perspective and I feel really good for like a day or maybe even a week. And then the next week, after I thought that I was already over it, it comes back.
Mm.
And I'm like, what is this? I I willed my way to a new story, damn it. Like that was supposed to be done, and I'm an intelligent person. So like I know I'm not doing this wrong. I followed the instructions. I think that's where earlier, um, in my coaching career, I got really frustrated with myself and I started beating myself up. I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I'm either just not cut out for this, like I'm just not following instructions properly, like my brain just does not absorb this. I'm not capable, or like I'm not doing it hard enough. Like, okay, so I fucked up and didn't talk about or didn't do my affirmations 3 times this week. So that's probably why I failed. But now through learning subconscious reprogramming and specifically core transformation, like I see now how willpower, so me willing my way into this new state, right? Like keep doing the affirmations, keep doing the thing to like keep changing your physical states, like keep doing the breath work, keep like that has a battery. So willpower has a battery, meaning it drains eventually. My battery, I'd say my battery is pretty big. Like, I can sustain something for quite a while, but it still drains. And then when it drains and you stop doing the thing, it doesn't mean you failed or that you're not capable or that you're not worthy or that like this just will never change for you. It's just it's really hard to do with willpower alone. These patterns that these like views of reality that we've developed as kids, before age 8 for a lot of us, like, and then we've carried them through decades and decades, right? Through various experiences in our life where it's been confirmed back to us that it's true, right? Um, so this core transformation, I'll give you a specific example, like with money, right? So I've been fortunate enough to like have savings, support outside, like, and just, some money while I'm growing my business. Like I'm not to the point where I want to be yet financially, but like I have money coming in, right? So I'm fine. I know this consciously. I can look at my bank account and go, yeah, I'll pay for my mortgage and my food and whatever else. I'm fine, right? But there's still like this internal freak out of like, um, so what I'm saying is I used to have this, like, it's gotten a lot better through the work that I've been doing, the core transformation work, but like it's like this internal just unease of like, my business is not earning enough. And I would, be watching TV like in the evening and just notice that my body is in a state of unease. So even though I consciously know that I'm fine, there's nothing wrong. But there's like just this chatter going inside my brain of like, you didn't do enough. You should have done more. You should be successful by now. Like blah, 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 blah. Like, so how do you resolve that besides repetitive, willful action that's not sustainable? Subconscious work.
I would add that repetitive, willful thing will continue, that gripping and controlling will continue to cause so much dis-ease, continuing on with burnout, health issues, all sorts of stuff. Because it's, I mean, when we look at our society, it's kind of conditioned into most of the societies we live in, right? You got to, be the best. You have to be an A+ student. You got to try harder, push harder, conform yourself to this is the only answer on the test. You can't think of another answer. And it's programming us to be different than who we naturally are. So, and a lot of that gets programmed in before we even learn to talk, or passed down through generations, but it's not anyone's actual truth. It's just a perception that can be cleared and transformed through the subconscious reprogramming work. And oh my God, I love it. It's so much freedom and energy, at least in my experience and with my clients, is just like, yeah, you got like a whole new life back. I mean,
Yeah.
over session, everyone's different sessions wise, but it's, yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's not necessarily been energy. It's just been a lot more peace. Like that background feeling of like general anxiety of like, ah, you're not doing enough is like not there. And I didn't have to try. Like there is nothing I have to do after a session besides live my life and just notice how things are now different, like how I'm more resourceful, right? And I, to a person who's listening, like if you're like, oh, if you're basically saying like don't do any of those other things, they're completely useless. It's like that's what me and Dana have been talking about too. It's like from my perspective, they are still useful. Like I love having back pocket quickie things I can pull out of my pocket to be like change my state, like do some breath work, use the reframing to help me in the moment to like shift out of something really helps. It's just not sustainable long term. Like if you use those quick methods and you feel better temporarily and then you keep going back to your old pattern, that's an indicator that like subconscious work can be really helpful for you. Like you don't have to keep struggling with it over and over again, because the story is that, okay, I know you're struggling right now, but you commit to this for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, and then I promise you your subconscious mind will pick it up and it'll just automatically, if you can do it for a year sustainably committed, kudos. You probably will create change, because yeah, repetition creates change, but like most people don't. Do we know the statistics on New Year's resolutions? They're really poor, right?
Well, considering, I have a background in doing Lewis Boswick clairvoyant and transmedium work, which is also reprogramming the unconscious mind. and I've been in that, I still enjoy it for certain components, like a meditative state. But until I experienced subconscious reprogramming, I didn't actually fully experience present time neutrality.
Hmm.
So it kind of goes back to what I always say with you, that there's, and you agree, always about there's never any one right answer or way for every single person. But from my experience and what clients continue to share with me is they come to me and they're like, I've tried everything. I get work with a lot of coaches that are like, listen, I'm a coach and I need help because I don't know, I'm exhausted. I wake up and I'm doing all the things every single day for yoga, breath work, meditation, visualization, you name it. And then I go sit down to write and I find myself, surfing the internet for clothing and I can't focus, or I can't focus with my client. So as much as I would like to say that if because our conscious mind is only 5% of our thoughts and everything is in the subconscious, and it's based on the filters of perception from when we're born to around 7 years old and then compounded on that. I don't, I haven't experienced it and I haven't seen anyone where that's been an incredible shift and those patterns are gone. I mean, I can even think of people I will not mention that are big podcaster figures that try to proclaim like, I'm a changed person now, but I witness the anger and control within them. I'm like, sure, if you say so.
Maybe in one area of your life. Um,
Hey, and this is your one and precious life. It's whatever somebody wants to choose. I just know it was such a game changer having access and experiencing these sessions that I was just like, oh my God, I want more and I want in and I want other people having this available, because everything else I did and I've done, you name it, I tried it. Like even the esoteric shamans, I mean, family constellations done psychically, like somatic work. I'm certified in somatic work. You name it, I did it. And it wasn't until I had this subconscious reprogram that I'm like, my God, because it very much like what I've shared with you privately, it reminded me so many of the profound random life experiences I've had that were just incredible that I could classify as deeply spiritual states. So just randomly happened. And I would end up in these profound states of awe for a while, but I didn't know how I got there. And I like eventually it started fading when I continued to interact with the rest of the world as they normally are, not having tools or awareness of keeping that state. So now through these methodologies, it's kind of like, especially core transformations, right? It's like that Buddhist monk who took the core transformations, he shared that he loved this work because any person can, after a series of questions, step into these profound states of being that tends to take spiritual practitioners decades of determination and dedication. And through a handful of essentially questions, people just naturally end up there in these states. You're just like,
Yeah, it kind of flips things on their head. I mean, even just my hypnosis certification, right, focused heavily on beliefs. And a lot of like mindset stuff focuses on beliefs. Like, what do you believe about that? And what do you want to believe instead? Again, from my standpoint, I still think it's useful in some cases. And like what you were saying, sometimes it keeps us stuck in these patterns because we're trying to consciously analyze them. What are the beliefs? Where did they come from? What do I want to believe instead? Why am I not believing the thing that I said I want to believe? Like, what's holding
and
me back? Right.
when if only I could figure this out. When I figure this out, then it'll be fixed. That's such a very common mind trick that so many of us get into. I just need to understand this. If I once I understand it, then it'll all be good. Then it'll all go away. And I've had clients in session being like, "Oh my God, I thought I was done with that." That happened to me when I was was having sessions done on me with subconscious reprogramming. I was like, I th- I mean, because I really did deep dives and doing the work, and was also there. And so thank goodness it got, it's cleared and transformed, which was phenomenal. But
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to say is that with the work that we do now, like both the rapid resolution therapy and the core transformation, it's not necessary for you to have beliefs. You can bring a belief to the session if you wanted to, but like it's not necessary for you to know why something is happening. You know, I've had a client that like had a reaction in his throat that would just happen. Like it was like a nervous tick or something like that. Like you don't consciously generate that. And I'm like, what is there anything that it like kind of, you know, ties to? And he's like, maybe in this situation, but other times it just happens randomly. It's like, okay, so what's a belief there that you you have this thing in your throat? I mean, maybe, I don't know, whatever, but I can work with that, right? It's so freeing knowing that like we don't actually have to know all the details and the context and where it came from and the root cause and all that. It just kind of naturally, organically creates the change. And then you, in essence, naturally step in to what's more resourceful for you. You naturally create new supportive beliefs because that's just who you are. Like it's kind of backwards, right? It's like they're like, first you got to have the beliefs so that you can be. And this allows you to, I just got this realization, this allows you to be, and then pretty much like have the belief naturally that comes with that because you already are that person. Anyway.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, that's exactly it. You're what do you say, deconditioning yourself to just to be actually who you uniquely are. And that I think is one of the pieces I do love that a lot of people continue to speak to is celebrating everyone's uniqueness, and everyone has a place, and it's so beautiful, but really clearing out all of those parts where we grew up in an environment perhaps, or some way our mind assigned meanings to where that wasn't supported or safe to be or do. And just through this process and through the experience, you step in. So the coming to these sessions and not definitely letting go of the analytical part of the mind, the best that someone can, and just enjoy the experience, just be there. Because to me and my clients I often work with, it tends, and especially at the end, feel like an energy spa. When you have that experience, you're just like, oh my God, I just want to stay in this space forever because it feels so good. But having that experience, it's to
Yeah.
me, it's like it's some of the most profound things that I, anchor back into, and just happy to be here experiencing this in this lifetime, are these states, these profound states that come about through these sessions.
Yes. So maybe we could take a few minutes to just share a couple of like practical examples from our clients of like how, you know, what they have brought to sessions. So people, you can kind of, whoever's listening, you can kind of see like, this is the kind of thing that I can bring, right? So I can start. So
Yeah.
there was somebody who came to me that their next step was like moving forward in their business was to build a website. And they've been like putting it off, procrastinating, because one of the big kind of like inner conflicts was um, one part of them wanted to talk about like religious views that they had, right? And another part like was thinking, oh, if I do that, then like I'm gonna completely push away certain people, right? And so then they couldn't find a solution. They were like, well, how do I combine it? Do I like talk about it here but not there? Do I create two different websites? Like they were like lost in this indecision, right? So we basically worked with the part of them that wanted to talk about the like religious views, and then the part of them that, you know, was concerned. And they've come to like a natural conclusion. Like they were like, oh yeah, no, it's not a big deal actually. Like I just can do it this way. It's like cool. I mean, that took a little bit of processing to come to. It wasn't like within the session itself. They felt really peaceful after the session ended, but like that's what came after the processing, which was really cool to see. And that's exactly what I experienced. It's like I have these conflicts. I can't decide on something. I do the session with myself and then like, or with a practitioner. And then it's like it just kind of comes together somehow. It's like, oh cool, that's no longer a problem. I can now move
Oh,
forward.
that's
How about
cool.
how about you?
I'm trying to think. I've had a lot of different ones. I mean, one that I remembered, I was working with a client a few years ago that I thought was really cool. I was just thinking about this yesterday, and I did a series of 6 sessions with her. And we were working more on her nervous system and her menstrual vitality, actually. And but we cleared because our nervous system is directly, it's everything, right? And it helps affect if we're going to be if we're a female, we can have a healthy menstrual cycle. But working with her in particular, I was helping her clear a lot of triggers with her family and money blocks, and that all helped her a lot. The kicker that it dawned on me is right after we finished working together, she landed a huge dream job contract doing as like a wellness entrepreneur, like an incredible gig that it just showed up. And I love that. Like, can I say that the work we did together was responsible for it? No, but it was I mean, I worked with another person who was clearing some massive PTSD traumas. And we did, I think 2 or 3 sessions together to clear all the stuff. Because after 15 years of therapy, she knew exactly what happened in her life, but the feelings kept coming. After she finished that, she went and felt strong enough to sign up to get her master's. I have many others, but I thought those two were really cool and profound because those are big steps, you know.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
very, very cool. Yeah. And I'm thinking of one more maybe for myself is like being able to like feeling afraid to speak their truth or like getting into situations where um like I don't know, sharing something on social media that's controversial or like goes against, the grain a little bit or like for a lot of it. Um or wanting to talk about viewpoints and perspectives that are just not well accepted by society, right? Just deep fear and basically like freeze mode of like, I'm not going to go through that. So they don't share at all, is what they've experienced, right? So it's like going through the process, help them see like, oh, this is the way that I can like start, right? Yeah. It just movement forward versus just like feeling complete freeze mode. Because now you can start to acknowledge like these parts of you that are experiencing this fear. There's a positive purpose for it. So, and we won't go deeper into that because that's not the point of this conversation to dissect how it all works, but just wanted to express like these are the kinds of things that this work really helps um without force, without willpower. It's a very gentle, kind process that helps you basically like come home to yourself, come home to your true essence of who you really are underneath all the conditioning and all the perceived fears that we've come to learn through our life and limitations and things. So, yeah.
And through that experience, I have witnessed with my clients and also myself, and you probably have seen this too, is that all of those aha moments just naturally arrive
Mm,
for clients. Like, um,
yes, yes.
so another one that I think is useful to share is I was working with the client recently about, she had mentioned at the beginning, she's having a hard time connecting with her ideal client. And then I forgot our way in that we use, but through her whole experience, she stepped into a state of oneness within herself and everything shifted. She was just like, everything. I had actually quite a few clients like this where they're just like, that's no longer an issue. Like everything just happens as it's supposed to happen and just flow. And then she emailed later, like she was getting all these aha moments and downloads and other things were just releasing out that was connected to it. It was
Wow.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's
sometimes it happens. Like most of the time I would say my own experience or experience from my clients is like they feel just really at peace and like present and like flowy. And sometimes my clients will be like, "Holy shit." I just had this giant realization that like I've always been this person, or like this has always been here for me, or I've been searching for something, or like, yeah, just this giant realization, big aha. So
Lit from
very,
within.
very
Yeah,
cool
all
to
the
witness.
answers are already within each one of us. And that's what's cool about our work is you and I, like, we don't have your answer as our client. We're just here as the guide supporting you. So it's like you're also kind of going into a meditative state and connecting into yourself on a deeper level, which everybody wants right now, right? It's like, how do I connect with myself? And I think that's so valuable and rewarding too. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
How do I connect with myself? And also, how do I create what I want outside from within? Right. So, as entrepreneurs, we want money and we want clients and we want success and all these things. And like part of it is we need money to live. Right. Like, I need money to pay my mortgage and my bills and have the lifestyle I want to have. That's fine. If I have the money and I still feel anxious about not having enough, or I think about how it's going to go away, or I doomsday like prophesize everything just falling apart and I fail, like there's probably something there, to work through. Or like if I don't have this success in my business, right? Like if I'm not okay with barely having enough money, that means that like I can't feel like I can just rest. Like, what's preventing you from resting now? And if you were in that resourceful state now, how would things change for you? Perhaps maybe it would be easier to attract clients, to attract money, to just go through business in a way that like doesn't feel like a grind. Just maybe. So
that's what I find my clients. It's not a maybe. That's what I want witness my clients experience. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And making um better choices when you're in that space too. Like I look back at myself in the past before all this, and it was like I was running around with like a chicken with my head cut off. Just, even when I was working two full-time jobs, just getting my moon time off the ground and making a lot of money and just throwing as much money at my moon time because I was so exhausted. I was just really hoping to let's scale this up quickly. Let's get there, and like just wasting thousands and thousands of thousands of dollars. I don't even want to. And some of my stuff I did waste it. It wasn't necessarily skills that I could come back to and use again. It's like, oh, oops.
Yeah.
Live and
Yeah.
learn. It's good lessons. It's good lessons. Yeah.
Indeed. Well, Dana, thank you for being here with me today, for chatting about this. And to you that's watching, if this is interesting to you and you're like, I want to explore that. So a couple of things for you. You can, book a session with me or Dana. Go check out our websites. Even book a call with one of us if you want to like learn about us on an individual level, a little bit deeper. And there's also, low cost and free resources like Connie Andreas, who created this method. She has a book called Core Transformation that you can read. There's also a YouTube channel from Andreas NLP, who the company now teaches this method. So like you can go check out more videos about core transformation, learn more about like NLP, subconscious reprogramming work. And yeah, our mission is to like spread the word that like this helps on such a deep level without having to use force, willpower, and like struggle. Change is possible. So thank
Yeah.
you.
And for me, I would have saved a ton of money had I done this 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
That was cool. Oh, well, live and learn.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
see you on another video.